Darren, how you been?
Oh, not bad at all. How about you, Ben?
Uh, been working on some assignment, doing a little bit of freelancing for a comic with Apache Jump On playing in the background.
Oh, you got to grind it wherever you can, right?
Which is funny because I was in the mood for it because I just watched both Babysitter 1 and 2 for the first time for some research. And of course, where in the second one, they play in the second one during the scene where the main character and Jenna Ortega are making out in the basement, and it goes like to this whole fantasy montage, and you see the four villains, and
Yeah.
I cannot tell you, Robbie Williams' facial expression in that scene is priceless.
I mean, I swear, I don't know what it is, but he just has the most unique and hilarious way of doing it. Whether it's really out there or subtle, it's just you can't help but laugh.
He's funny in those movies,
Oh no, he really is. I love a lot of his stuff, and I'm looking forward to seeing what else he does.
and it's funny because he's shirtless the whole time.
Very true. Very true. That I feel like that's another main reason he gets cast in a bunch of stuff because it's because all the casting directors are like, "Yep, he's got that shirtless look. We need that. Let's appeal to our teenage audience. Let's go."
Every time I watch that, I'm like, damn, wish I looked like that. Yeah. Although,
Yeah.
although part of it's coming, I'm not going to show, but part of it is coming.
Ah,
But watch what I eat lately. You have had quite a year. You played an extra in a movie called White Noise with Adam Driver. Tell me what that experience was like.
okay. That was a great experience for a number of reasons. I'll just keep it to that day because there was a whole thing about driving there and back repeatedly for COVID tests. But on that exact day, I didn't expect it to go as well as it did, just because the night before I went to bed really late. So I'm driving from Marion to Cleveland at I leave the house at 3 o'clock in the morning. I'm only on 4 hours of sleep, and and I'm gonna be there at least all day filming. So, I get there, we do COVID tests, they take us to where we're gonna be shooting, and it then we get to the set where we're gonna be at, and the first thing they instantly do is, hair and makeup right away, and then costuming. And we had breakfast then, and then we were all waiting in the room where the extras were assigned until 11 o'clock in the morning. Then we get to the actual room we're going to be in, and Adam Driver is already there, and he's working on his dialogue already, and he kept at it with all of us in the back there, and especially while everybody else was adjusting the set accordingly. And that was for about 2.5 hours, and then everybody else shows up, and then I see, Greta Gerwig walk in, I see Don Cheadle walk in, Jodie Turner Smith, Andre 3000. I see them all walk in, and I'm like, is it time? Are we actually getting ready to shoot? And we started real soon after that. So then that was about another 2 hours we spent shooting that bit. And if you see that in the film, it's where he's up at the front toward the end of the film, and he has the very small gun in his pocket, and he's sweating through his lecture, and he's actually patting his head. It's that sequence is the first one, and we spent, yeah, it was about a good 2 hours shooting that, and then jump forward to the next sequence, which is the big ballroom sequence. And this was a long section to shoot. Just we got done. We had lunch. We had lunch right after the previous sequence. Had lunch, and then waited a little bit longer, about another 45 minutes to an hour. Went to that room. That's about 4:30, 5 o'clock. We're getting in there. There was a multitude of things that went wrong, but
Oh, jeez.
but not in like the really bad way. There was like one medical complication for one of the crew members that happened on set, but then apart from that, it was we were in there shooting for about 7.5 hours. So we got out of there at midnight. No, 12:30. 12:30 we got out of there. And the extras didn't get back to the parking lot they came from until about 2 o'clock in the morning. So despite all that, it was a fantastic day. I loved every second of it. Made a few friends on set, and I had the sweetest interaction with Greta that I'll never forget.
Oh,
It was a very small moment, but it was a moment that really gave me hope for pursuing a path into the industry. And it was between takes, and on all these little tables, there's snacks and treats on every single one throughout this room. And in between takes, there was a small moment where she just came up behind me. I had no idea she was there. And she reached around me and was like, I'm going to have a Smarties. And she just picked up the Smarties and went for it. And it was the sweetest moment just because her voice and her cadence and demeanor, it was just very innocent and vibrant and very joyful in the sense that, like you could really tell that she really loves little things in life. And that really gave me a lot of hope going forward. So at the very least, I'll never forget that.
I remember when we became friends last summer, and that's one of the things that you told me
Yeah.
the first time we met. You told me that story. I'll never forget it. And it's funny. And speaking of pursuing projects, you're also playing a character in my horror film that's being shot this summer in Sandusky.
That's
Yeah.
right. That's right.
Tell
Yep.
me what you're looking forward to the most.
Oh man. I remember the first time you sent me the script, and it it was one of the first scripts I had ever read where I couldn't stop as I was reading it, because usually if I read a script, there's a moment where I either have to stop to take it all in, stop to take a breath, or there's a moment I just have to stop because I'm just not feeling like I can go forward reading it for a little bit, and I have to like take a breather and just step away. This was one that I didn't put down until it was over.
Thanks, man.
And that you're welcome. And it was a breakneck pace that I felt in that script, but something I really loved about it. And I know that, whenever we have the other actors there that I'll be working with, and this is I'm looking forward to working with the cast and the crew on this. And especially because of just, I love working. I love being on the set or wherever I'm at doing it, whether it's on the set or on the stage, and working with the other actors to develop these relationships and even just getting to know the other actors. And especially with these relationships that you've written in this script, it's definitely something I'm going to be looking forward to fleshing out.
Nice.
Because there are especially a few aspects where I really haven't seen them, these specific aspects of these relationships, in any films that I've seen over the last at least decade or 2 decades, because there's a lot of things that people look for in movies nowadays or in plays or musicals, and it's little moments about these relationships that seem to be absent from those, and then I find them in your script and I'm like, this is something I'm looking forward to actually bringing into fruition.
Thanks, man. Yeah, and it's funny because Corbin Burnson was on the last episode and was telling him that I was working on a movie this summer, and he was like, "Oh, really? When's the invitation coming? When's the offer coming?" And so I told him that I didn't want to take up a whole lot of his time because he had somewhere else to be when I was interviewing him, but I gave him the short version of it. So I mean, who knows?
Right. I actually just listened to that last night, and I loved listening to it because I actually grew up on uh more so Major League 2 than Major League 1. And I loved Corbin Burnson as Roger Dorn. He is fantastic. I love him in everything he's been in. I even loved him in the Punisher when he did the second season of that.
He was in Punisher.
Yeah, he was one of the main antagonists for the second season of the Punisher.
Oh, I'm gonna have to watch that.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
I will just because I know you though, I will warn you in advance. It gets bloody.
Okay, I'll thank you for telling me that. And
Yeah.
yeah, even though blood and gore is the weakness I tend to vomit to, I cannot tell you from when it comes to filming Orlando Monster, that may happen quite a bit. There may be a few times I'll have to leave the set just to go.
Right, yeah. And I mean, it's definitely an understandable reaction to have if you're sensitive to that kind of thing. And it's like, all right, do what you
And I
gotta
definitely remember when we went and saw Violent Night, and there was that scene like in the middle of the movie, like towards the end, where and thank God it was written as you knew it was coming. I had to look away and I'm like, is it over? You're like, no, keep your eyes closed. It's almost over. Me just sitting there munching on corn, just being
Yep, just eyes closed, munching on popcorn.
showing off like my grandfather.
Yeah. And then the lawnmower in the shed happens, and then it's like, yep,
Oh
nope,
God.
keep it close.
Yeah. It's funny, I just watched that with my dad.
Oh, I just rewatched it again a couple of days ago. And I'm like, I still really enjoyed it as much as I did the other times I saw it.
My pre-order copy came this past week, and like I said, I love David Harbour. I think he's funny, and he is someone I hope to get on a podcast episode for next season if it gets renewed.
Right. It's he's one of those actors that I love seeing the different things he does, because he was the first time I saw him in a role, he actually did, it was a small role, and it was a film 2008, and it very much so was a small role that made me think, okay, we're going to see this guy again someday. And it was a movie from '08. It's called State of Play with Ben Affleck and Russell Crowe.
I've heard
And
about this.
yeah, and he has a couple of scenes opposite Russell Crowe. And as soon as you see him in those scenes, he really does look like a spook, like 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 one of those very clandestine government agents, where it's like, okay, you can just tell from the way this guy talks, you don't want to mess with him. Yeah, it was an early one, and I knew from the second I saw him in, I'm like, I want to see what this guy does. He is so great.
And hey, he started to play characters you don't want to mess with, like first the Hellboy remake, and then Jim Hopper, and oh yeah, even the Santa you don't want to mess with.
Exactly. Yeah, yeah. Saint Nicomund, him and Mrs. Claus going on year 1100, right?
Well, thank you, Darren, for joining today's episode. Now, a request from a friend, and no, it's not who you think it is. It's a different friend, but they enjoy hearing us laugh. I can't remember who it was, but we've met them before. But they enjoy us watching videos and reacting to them. I don't know what it is about us that makes them enjoy that part, but what the heck. So
Right.
I accepted their request, and so we're gonna go ahead and switch the cameras to us. Oh look, hey, there we are. Whee!
I don't.
All right, so let's see if I can get this. Actually, before we get the video rolling, we do have a clip from a little scene from your movie, White Noise. Let's see if I can find it. Oh, sorry, I can't. Netflix won't let me show it on the screen.
I'll say, yeah, probably not, just because
What terrible advertising.
Yeah, right. No, it's fine, but I was just say, for in lieu of the clip, I will say that I watched it myself, and it definitely has a very unique tone, but it definitely tackles a few things that are prominent post pandemic that really will appeal to a wide audience now that we've gone through that. And it has a very quirky tone, but I can't help but feel like people will be further drawn in by it. And it's a very unique film with a very unique outlook on life in general, and then specifically post pandemic. And I really do think it was one of the best films that came out last year, even though it
Nice.
came out at the tail end of the year.
It is a good movie. I did watch the whole thing.
Yeah, it's great.
Yeah, really great. Yeah, Adam Driver is one of the best actors of all time. So anyhow, here's the clip. Wait for it. Wait for it. It's so stupid.
Oh boy, I can already see where it's gonna go. Oh no, what are these yahoos doing?
Oh my god.
No,
No.
no. No, no.
Oh my god.
I would not want to see his medical bill.
You better have insurance.
Yeah, and plenty of it.
Well, insurance doesn't cover it anyway.
Yeah, good point.
But yeah, that was just that was a request I had to give to that one friend whose name we'll figure out in my emails
All
or
right.
text messages.
Just dig through and find it, find the request. It's like, oh, that's
Oh yeah, yeah. Just dig through. Oh yeah, oh yeah. Oh, not you. Get out of here. Yep. There you are.
scroll, 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 scroll. I don't know. Scroll, scroll. Isn't that how it usually goes anyway?
That's how it usually goes.
Just scrolling through endlessly until you find the answer, and then all of a sudden you're down a rabbit hole and it's 2:00 in the morning. Still haven't found it yet.
Yeah, same with Instagram and TikTok. You're just scrolling through the story videos. And of course, there was my story recently of me reacting to a clip from Thor 1.
Yep. You're no match for the mighty. Yeah.
Why don't you say your Santa Harbor version? The Santa Harbor version.
Ho, ho, ho. You're no match for the Jolly Santa. Oh.
That was perfect, man. Let me tell you, it's a blast having you on the show and looking forward to working with you on Orlando Monster.
Thank you very much. I'm looking forward to it too.
It's have a good night.
Thank you. You too, Ben.